I wanted to ask the same question to both of you. The spirit behind my individual passion with working with on ABT Rise is really to dig in deep and to amplify and hear these maybe untold narratives that maybe have not had a chance to be told yet. So I would love from each of your own perspectives, and let's just get real. What does it mean to you to be a Black woman in the dance world, and in America, and how do you even feel about that question?
It's a good question now because waking up every day, to be completely honest and completely transparent, I never needed to remind myself that my life mattered because I woke up every day undeniably Black. But I heard a friend of mine once say that she was told that she was a double negative. She wasn't just a woman, but she was a Black woman. And she understood what that meant. And I was like, wow, our minds are blown because someone can refer to us as a negative and we completely understand what they mean. And so, how do we renegotiate that work? So, there's something that I've been writing, some things that I've been writing, and I put out, and I said, "Oh, I am a human, bald, Black, beautiful woman whose particular and specificnesses are okay. That it's okay that I remind you to remind me, that I remind you again that I am all of these things." And it's work. I have to look in the mirror and say, "Don't forget to be." All of the things. Don't forget to be unashamed. Don't forget to stand up for what you want. I was teaching a class yesterday, and I said, "What part of that combination? Why were you great?" And they were like, "Well, I was great because." And I'm like, "No, we have to redirect our focus to say, I am great because of this. I am great because of the struggle. I am great because of the successes, and I am great because I've continued to make these steps and continue to drive forward." And if we don't teach that to our young people, but if we don't remind ourselves in the mirror, then we're in trouble. And so I've been struggling, but every day I have to do it again. I have to remind myself again, be stronger again, each day.
I would offer that by you being such an empowered woman and just being who you are is inspiration enough to even teach our youth how to do it.
Thank you, but don't forget we still perform. Do you know what I mean? Like it's performance. Five, like I can turn it on, and then when this camera goes off, I have to deal with my own self again. And those are the hard parts, the not feeling support. And I think that's also, this is not a question, but that's been my struggle, my pandemic struggle, is that you give all of this thing and then you turn off, and I'm here by myself. So how can I continue to get fed even though the camera's off, the computer's off, and then I exhale to, this thing. So it's all been a struggle in this time, but I'm learning from it, and the only way we can go is up and forward.
I'm here for you too, by the way. I really hear you with that, and I struggle with that all the time. So we can try to figure it out together. What about you or your experience?
So for me, I feel like being a Black woman in the ballet world is definitely, it's a challenge because you're constantly challenging a historically whitewashed art form. So in order, I feel like to do that, you just have to be yourself and just work your hardest. And I hope that one day I can inspire young Black dancers who feel as though being Black is an obstacle that they have to overcome, which it shouldn't be. But many dancers feel that way. So I hope that I can be an inspiration to them one day for that.
And you are. Absolutely. Sasha, do you want to go?
Hope. Your interests and abilities are so broad, and your work as a choreographer in the last few months alone, taking you from ballet company to modern company to university to a troupe that's your own. Where do you see yourself a few years down the road? Does the knowledge that as a Black female artist, you represent something larger than yourself inform that trajectory?
Um, yes, all of those things. I have some truth tellers in my life. My first one is my mother. She doesn't really, always hear the praise. I should remind her, even when I remind her, she doesn't believe me, that she said, "Oh, Hope, hold your stomach in or stand up straight." That was that kind of thing that was annoying. And then the second truth teller in my life was Joan Myers Brown, who I believe she just turned 90. Or 89. Don't tell her if I messed it up. But, that's up there. And she founded Philadelphia and has just passed the torch to someone else. Like, imagine that. And then Judith Jamison, who texts me to ask me, about a phone update. And I'm thinking, here are these women in my life who are spectacular and who have created a path, and they've done this like clearing of a lane so that I can continue to walk down, and they've made a path for me. So I am obligated to continue to do that. I'm obligated to continue to make space and to let people know that it is important for me to share the stories. It's important for me to share the process. And as I continue to do that on stage, on film, 10 years from now with a Tony and an Oscar and maybe a Grammy for an audio book, I'm just going to say it, because if you don't say it, it doesn't happen. And I want all of those things. I feel like someone asked me, what career would you like to emulate? I'm like, oh, just smash Judith Jamison and Debbie Allen all together, and that's me. I want to do all the things. And so that's what a friend of mine calls me. She's like, Hope, hashtag all the things, put them all together, and then show people that it is possible. It's possible for a young woman, well, not as young woman, to have had a dance career and then start something new, start something fresh, not be afraid to continue on. And I really appreciate what Kyra said, because I, as a member of AGMA, which is the American Guild of Musical Artists, which is what a lot of our companies are a part of, I am on the AGMA Black Caucus. And all of the things that we want to try to encourage, especially with Black dancers who are who are few and far between in companies that are predominantly white or predominantly other dancers. We want to give them a space to work. And I'm really pleased to hear about all of these initiatives, because it's not just the saying, it's not just the social media post, it's the doing. And then knowing that ABT and RISE is giving Kyra room to say what she feels, how she feels, when she's frustrated, is empowering to me. And I was surrounded by artists that look like me my whole life. So knowing that I can come into a room and feel comfortable to say all that I need to say is amazing. And I'm stopping talking now. I'm done.
Well, just sort of following on what you just said about Kyra. Kyra, how does it feel to see a Black woman artist at the front of the room in a classical ballet company?
It was so inspiring, honestly. I mean, the only Black woman choreographer was my mom that I've worked with. So being able to work with another one who also knows my mom was really inspiring, and she had so much to teach us. So it was really amazing seeing someone who's accomplished so much in front of us. Just so inspiring.
What does it mean to you to be a woman choreographer? And is that a label that you even embrace, or do you wish that it didn't even exist? I mean, I personally feel complicated with needing to have like a definition around something like, a Muslim or a Muslim choreographer or a woman choreographer. How do you feel about that? And yet I also feel proud to say that, yeah, I am that. What is your experience with those terms?
I agree with you. And I heard an interview from Alvin Ailey, and he said something to the effect. So I apologize for not having it clear, but it's something I should have really written down. That it is about the work of being who I am, and not being afraid to say who I am, and then reminding you that I can do this as well. It's not because being Black needs to be I'm more than Black. Do you know what I mean? I am Black and, like, both and I think it's okay to, I know it's okay to be both and. It's important for young Black artists to see me. It's important for young white artists to see me in the front of the room, because then they're also reminded, oh, this is a universal thing. Then at some point we won't have to to differentiate. We won't have to delineate who's what and who's where and what we've done. When there is a choreographer that comes out, I tell you a story, and this really, really happened to me. I started to choreograph musical theater, and someone actually tapped me on the shoulder and said, "We loved your work. This was great. We're so glad to have someone else besides Camille Brown." Really? Camille Brown has done her work. She has researched, she's put in the time. How can you discount all of the things she's done just because I've joined? Like, we should both be able to function in this space. They never say that about, a male choreographer. They never say, "Oh, great, it's nice. I'm so glad we have someone else besides Wayne McGregor." Really? No, you just say, "Oh, and we have this, and we have that. So let's just join to the group together, whether it's all in one season or whether it's sporadic. To have the initiative is the work, and then that work becomes effortless, and then you don't think about it. You're like, "Oh, let's bring in the choreographer that we all think that fits." But if you have to be reminded in the beginning to maybe look at a woman, if you have to be reminded to say, "Let me check to see if I've, checked off some boxes," we have to check the boxes off right now. And then once we continue to get this in our system, we won't have to worry about it. You take your vitamins every morning, you brush your teeth, you do those things, we don't think about it. We have to get it to the point that we don't have to think about it anymore.
That's the fight. That's the real fight of how do we make that happen? Kyra, what are your thoughts on that?
I definitely agree with everything that Hope was saying. I think once we get to a point where we can normalize that all different sorts of people are able to accomplish these things, then we can get to the point where we can start taking away those labels and just having the person be doing what they're doing.
And do you think that there's anything that you've seen, or whether you've seen it or you feel intuitively, that will help us get there faster?
I think just having more people experience these opportunities and giving more opportunities to these people, then I think that'll help us get there eventually.
Could you tell us more about the piece that's premiering next week?
For what is it all worth? It really should be like, for what is it all worth? Because it's supposed to be a question. But a friend of mine sent me a text, and he said, "I heard a song and it reminded me of you." And the name of the song was "Shake Your Life." And it was from an album of the Voices of East Harlem. And so I had first seen "Shake Your Life" choreographed by Donald McHale on Cleo Parker Robinson's dance company. And then Voices of East Harlem sing "Right On, Be Free," which is the last section of Cry. So I knew the voice, Alvin Ailey's Cry, I'm sorry. So I knew the Voices of East Harlem, and I'm just playing the songs and I'm enjoying it. And then I hear a song and the text and the words sound familiar. And then I stop, I go to my phone, and I'm like, I feel like I know this song. And I realized that Billy Porter sang it. And so I text him and I was like, "I want to dance to a song. I'm choreographing for ABT's second company and I want to use one of your songs." So, in about, 18 hours, he's like, "What song you want to use, friend?" And I was like, "Well, I think I might want to do For What It's Worth." He said, "Well, that's Stephen Stills. You wouldn't have to pay me, but you'd have to pay them." And he said, "Put a pitch deck together and I'll send it off to him." And so I immediately called Sascha. I was like, "Hey, we might have this chance to get," because it's not necessarily about the money, it's about getting the rights to do it, So we have this opportunity to do this. Let's try to do it. I made the pitch deck. Sascha sent some notes. He sent some photos. It's quite nice, if I do say so myself. And we sent it off. And about a week later, we got word back that Stephen Stills and his manager, they said they were all for it. And I knew that I wanted to use the Voices of East Harlem and also Billy Porter's version. But I also wanted something else. And a really good friend of mine named Bill Lawrence, who you should all Google, and it's Laurance. He's British. I said I knew I wanted a solo piano and I knew I wanted Bill to play it. So I literally called him and said, "Can you listen to this song and be inspired and play something 4 minutes?" And he did. And so now I have a complete work of music, no steps, but that's what I knew I wanted. So then I began to write what I thought we were going through. We're constantly going through all of these things. And COVID has leveled the playing field, and watching George Floyd be killed levels the playing field. And so everyone is seeing it. So what words am I going to use? And so the title of the song is For What It's Worth. But my question was, for what is it all worth? You know, why are we here? And then the answer is, it's for me. And the dancers even say it. You'll hear them say, it's for me. It's for me. It's worth, I'm worth it. The value of my life, my work, my artistry, the sacrifice that 17, 18-year-old dancers leave home, 7 weeks, quarantine, in their own rooms, they've already won. So if they're doing that and I'm joining this bubble, what can I give them? I believe movement is abstract, so the steps are the steps. But once they started to give it color and context, it filled me, and we were able to make a work. That's my Siri. My Siri's a British man. Sorry, he always he is. That's another story. But knowing that they were welcoming of this movement, the piece has just progressed. It's 4 sections. Starts off in a solo, ends in, you know, I have this power, and I always use this finger because my mother would punish me in church. She would lift up one finger to say, and then if 2 happened, but 3, I'm still alive, so 3 never came. So I always give this tribute to my mother in choreography, and so you'll see this finger happen, but other than that, you're just watching these dancers being empowered by the movement, I think.